Hey now everybody, this is Mad Circle 70. Now whether you're new to the realm or you're struggling to secure those wins, this video is going to help you and teach you how not to be a noob at Realm Royale. So to give you a quick background, I've been playing this game since OB17. At the time of this video being launched, we're just about to come into OB19. So I'm certainly not an old school Realm Royale guru in any shape or form, but these are the tips that I've learned from my gameplay in order to improve myself. Now the goal of Realm Royale here is to be in a position like this. I have 6 decorated runes, legendary items and movement abilities and abilities stacked with 10 armor potions, 10 healing potions going into the end game of the match. Now I'm going to show you in detail how to achieve this in order to put yourself in a good place to win the game. Now the first topic is sensitivity control settings and bindings. I covered this in a previous video to showcase what my sensitivity and control bindings are, and I was actually surprised to hear back from other folks that use different sensitivity as well as different control bindings in order to disenchant, jump, all kinds of stuff. So you have to pick the settings that are good for you. I recommend going into the tutorial and experimenting with camera movement as well as turnstile, so that you'll be able to exercise your control settings without being shot at in the realm. Now the next topic is class choice. Now there are 4 different classes for Realm Royale, each with their own benefits and shortcomings. Now, I encourage you to explore the different classes, certainly, but get familiar with one specific class at a time. Level that class up to 10 levels or so that you can get an idea and feel of which ones you will like. You can't really base your likings or dislike of one class based on one match. Now, unpopular opinion, I find that the assassin is the easiest one to learn. Second, the warrior. Third, the mage. And fourth, the hunter. Now when you're starting out in Realm Royale, you're going to have a significant disadvantage to players who have played for a long period of time with the same class, because they'll have unlocked different weapons and different movement abilities that you aren't even able to do yet. But I feel that the starting class for the assassin kind of levels the playing field with the saboteur and also as well as assassin's arsenal. Those 2 perks will definitely level the playing field even against higher level players. The next tip is landing. Where you want to land at. You certainly do not want to land a far distance away from the initial circle. So when you're in the lobby, when you're in the Zeppelin, take a look at where the first circle is going to be. That's a significant advantage that no other Battle Royale gives. You want to land in a populated place where other players or bots are going to be landing, simply because you want to be able to land, get a weapon, kill all the enemies around you, disenchant their items, and collect the shards. That's going to give you a significant advantage at the beginning of the game that's going to lead you to success at the end of the game. I would much rather land in crossing and die the 100th player than land somewhere where no one else is landing around on the edge of the map and where I have to shard up all these items and open up 20 loot chests just to forge a weapon. That's a waste of time. It's like 15 minutes gone by and you haven't seen anybody. In no way, shape, or form should you be landing at Jaguar's Claw, Forbidden Swamp, Lost Forge, or Sentinel Hold, or Autumn Fields, because you'll be doing nothing but fighting the circle as you're trying to loot and forge up your first weapons and abilities. So land in those populated places. Get accustomed to hearing the sounds of movement around you so that you can be a better player in the long run. The next topic is the first forge. The first time you're going to forge, you have 200 shards. What are you going to do with them? You're going to forge up armor potions, because those are essential. You're going to forge up your weapon, if you haven't already found one, within the first few minutes of the game. And you're going to forge up a rune. Why a rune? Well, that's simple, because these are 6 empty slots that high res is going to give you that you can fill with whatever runes you choose. Now, these are passive abilities that are going to give you an advantage throughout the entire game. There's no cooldown, there's nothing. So selecting your runes and forging the runes early on is going to help you along through the mid and the end game. So the idea is to have 6 great runes equipped leading into that top 10 situation. Now here's a list of all the runes that are available in this game. There are 15 total runes and you have 6 slots. So you can choose wisely. I'll break it up into what I consider the worst, the good, and the best runes that are available in Realm Royale right now. Naturally, the chicken speed rune, the revive time rune, and the chicken health rune, as well as the healing increase rune, I feel are on the worst column. Sometimes I'll even just shard these if I come across them. Now, as far as the best runes to have, the passive repair rune, the ability cooldown rune, the movement cooldown rune, the weapon damage rune, the headshot rune, and the reload rune are certainly my personal favorite, and I will always collect them. Now, the good runes, you can't completely knock either. The mount speed rune, the movement rune, the armor potion rune, the CC protection rune, as well as the lifesteal rune. I mean, they're not something to just push aside. I will certainly collect these any chance that I get, but in terms of grade, I certainly wouldn't put them up there with like the sharpshooter headshot rune or the weapon damage rune or even the passive repair rune. So if you get these runes early game, your passive repair rune is just going to maximize your armor health significantly at the beginning part of the game, and you'll have a clear advantage. Now also, don't get it twisted, there are other times when like the reload rune isn't going to really do anything for you. Like for example, if you're a hunter and you have a longbow and a fire axe, there's nothing you're reloading. Or if you're a warrior and you have a sword and a hammer, there's nothing for you to reload. They have infinite ammo. So in those cases, the reload rune is completely garbage for you. So to sum it up, remember this: first forge, always armor potions, weapon, rune. Armor potions, weapon, rune. Armor potions, weapon, and rune. Now the mid game of the match is where I consider there's 50 players left all the way down to 11. Once you get into that top 10 situation, it's when you're in the late game part of the match. So that mid game is where you're traveling from forge to forge, collecting shards, killing enemies, disenchanting unused, unneeded weapons and abilities. You're pushing toward the circle and you're basically bettering yourself, collecting runes. You're gaining better rarities of abilities and movement abilities so that you'll be set for when you get into that top 10 situation. The next topic is high ground. You always want to maintain the high ground over your enemy. That can be essential to winning a firefight. If I have the high ground, I definitely have a clear advantage over someone who is below me. Here's a mage on the roof that clearly soared up on the roof for the high ground advantage, but then she gave it up, and when she did, I was able to hit her with the longbow to chicken her. The next topic is supply drops. If you're ever out in the realm and you happen to see a supply drop and it's going to be landing near you, go for it. Go get that supply drop. There will always be a weapon, a rune, a movement ability, and another ability, sometimes double weapons, and they're always of epic or legendary rarities. But also be aware, once that supply drop marker hits the map, everyone else is aware of it as well. If you happen to see a supply drop, watch for enemies, and you can sit them down essentially like I did here. Alright, so you're in the late game now. You're in that top 10 situation. Hopefully you're stacked with armors, potions, you got 6 great runes, you got epic or legendary movement abilities and abilities. You're ready. Now what? This is the part of the game where you see a lot of third partying. You see a lot of folks that will intervene in between someone 1v1ing. Don't let that happen to you. In the latter part of the game, or I should say in that top 10 situation, this is where you start honing on to where players are. You start noticing how many players are left. You start hearing where the shots are being fired, what they're firing with, whether it's a firestone staff or maybe you hear an axe. Each weapon has its own distinct sound. So if you hear a sniper rifle go off, you know chances are probably someone's far off in the distance sniping as well. You want to pay attention to the circle. You can either do one of two things. Either one, head to the center of the circle and be aware of your surroundings, or you can maintain the high ground on the edge of the circle until the next phase comes in, and you can move with the circle inward. So you're in the end game. There's 2 more opponents, 1 more opponent. By now, the circle is close enough to where you can start really identifying what weapons they have. You can start identifying what movement abilities they have. You can identify what mount they're using. You can identify what class they are. Maybe you spotted a hunter. Maybe you heard someone soar, so you can assume maybe that is a mage. You heard a firestone staff go off. That could be a mage, but it could actually really be anybody at that point too. But you really need to be paying attention to what you're up against so that you'll be able to engage smart and utilize your abilities and your movement abilities to its maximum potential. So for example, if you have a sword, or if you have someone camping out in a house with a sword, you necessarily do not want to rush in there blindly. You want to utilize your movement abilities in order to be able to pack a punch and sit them down. Or maybe you notice you heard a hidden, so you can assume that that's probably an assassin, maybe with a sniper rifle, and he's utilizing that hidden ability. So what you do, you counteract his ability with your own in order to gain the advantage. When it comes down to it, I sometimes get a little silly when it's a 1v1 and I know everything about my opponent. I know what movement ability they're going to use, I know what ability they got, I know what weapons they got, I know how they're going to play, I know that they don't have any armors left, and I'm stacked with full armor, full health. Sometimes I'll play around with them just because of the knowledge that I have collected leading up to the 1v1. But you don't necessarily have to do that. Just utilize all these tips that I've given you and you will be successful in all of your future Realm Royale games. And hopefully you learned something from this video. If you did, that's great. Leave a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. This is Mad Circle 70, signing out.